Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. We are very excited to be here with you. This is one of the best parts of being a professor, being able to share our knowledge with our future colleagues and our academic community. So I want to thank you all for being here and for giving yourself this opportunity. As I tell my students, life is a journey and we need the necessary tools to build a wonderful future for all of us. So every time we attend sessions or we get new information and we participate in this kind of activities, we put more tools in our toolbox, and the more tools you have in your toolbox, the better equipped that you'll be for building a great future for you. So thank you so much for being here. I would like to introduce you to my colleague here today, my teammate, Miss Daphne Ponce, who's one of our stellar tutors at the English Writing Center.
Hello, everyone. As Nanman mentioned, my name is Daphne Ponce, and I'm one of the tutors for the English Writing Center. I'm currently doing a double major in English linguistics and psychology. I'm also doing a minor in writing and communication, so my life is a little bit hectic, to say the least. I'm really excited to have been given the chance to offer this presentation with Nanban, and I hope you all will be able to get a few pointers out of it.
Thank you, Daphne. Well, as you heard, Daphne, my nickname is Nanban. I like the doctor thing for special occasions. So you can approach me. I'm very approachable and I love my two names, Nancy, Vanessa. So I took the first three letters of each name, combined them, and boom, just like Madonna, just one name, Nanban. So I see that I think I have one of my students from one of my classes here, Retzel, I think, because that name is not an usual name. So I'm imagining that this is the same Retzel in my class. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, I am. Hi.
Hello. Okay, welcome to the madness. Let's do this. So, as we were invited to do this, we were thinking, this is so much information that we have. Just leading a workshop on curriculum vitae takes a long time, let alone having personal statement included in the mix. So one suggestion and invitation for the organizers is that Daphne and I are willing to come back for a part 2, hands-on, like actual writing the documents and helping you with the corrections and everything, answering questions and all that. So that invitation is right there for you. If you decide to accept, we're more than willing to do an entire hands-on workshop with you. Today is more informational, just giving you the important facts about these different documents and also giving you some tips on how to improve the ones that you probably already have written. Okay, so next slide, please. So as a college student, you will encounter a wide variety of professional experiences that will give you the opportunity to put into practice what you have learned in your major. When the time comes for you to apply to these professional experiences, you need to familiarize yourself with the following documents: the curriculum vitae, which is commonly known as CV, and the personal statement, or statement of purpose. People use these two names interchangeably. So the audience for these documents depends on the field and the industry that you're applying to. So what kinds of professional experiences require that you write CVs and personal statements when you apply? Well, usually research assistantships when there's a convocatoria or a call for from researchers to get research assistants. Usually they want students to compete for the position, and they want to have the choice of picking, from a pool of candidates who are prepared for these, and they would like to see, and meet those qualified and choose, the best candidates. So research assistantships are usually a place where when you're applying to, you need to have your CV and your personal statement. Also internships, co-ops, as you know, they're very competitive. And well, students, every semester, we as professors, we get these requests for recommendation letters or for revising their application materials. So we're more than happy to help you with this. And also, if you have decided to pursue a graduate program, well, you need a set of materials, application materials to complete prior to, having your interview and competing also for that space in the program. So next slide, please. So what are CVs and what is a personal statement? Well, a curriculum vitae is an academic document that summarizes your academic life. Vita comes from Latin, vida, right? Vita, our life. So it's pretty much your academic life in paper. So this document reflects who you are as an academic and a professional. And it is a live document. It will change and develop over time. My first CV only had 1 page, and now I have a 20-page CV, which pretty much reflects my teaching career and academic career for the last 20 years. So there is no right way of writing a CV. There are just guidelines. Every person has a different style. Every organization or company, they have different expectations. So they're probably, when they send out a convocatoria or a call for applications, they usually are pretty specific on what they're expecting from you. Okay. And a personal statement perhaps is the most difficult part of your application, because in this document, you pretty much introduce yourself, you talk about your experiences and skills, and you explain how you may be a good fit for the agency or the program. So pretty much a personal statement is the moment when you sell yourself to this agency or program. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to please, if you have any questions, to write them down and wait until the end of our presentations to ask them. So I'm gonna leave you now with Daphne, who's gonna continue with the tips for a successful CV writing. She's gonna explain to you what a CV is, and it's going to show you the different parts and some examples. So I'm going to leave you with Daphne now. Thank you.
Next slide, please. All right. So before we have a more in-depth look at CVs, it's crucial that we first understand just what the differences between a CV and a resume are. So as Nanman mentioned before, we use CVs when it comes to positions of academia, meaning that you may be asked to send CVs for research opportunities, for graduate programs, for internships, things like that. And if you want to work or study at an international level, like say you want to become involved in a foreign government or an embassy, then you should already have a CV ready. Resumes, on the other hand, are more commonly used for job opportunities, whether this be for a governmental position, a job in a private sector, or even positions in nonprofit organizations. There are certain exceptions where the CV could be used for, such as for positions in the US federal government and for development consulting firms. Regarding the content, a full list of a person's qualifications is expected on the CVs, while on resumes, a more summarized version of these qualifications is expected. So more often than not, a person would need to edit the chosen qualifications for their resumes. It all depends on the job that the person is actually looking for. But CVs, on the other hand, they usually just stay consistent, right? It only changes when you as a person change as well. You add to the CV. So in terms of length, they are completely different from each other. Because resumes are supposed to be simple summaries of qualifications, they need to be rather short. They're usually around 1 page long. If you feel that you need to elaborate just a little bit more, then it could reach 2 pages, right? But that's maximum, right? 1 to 2 pages max. CVs are a completely different story because since you're supposed to give a more in-depth explanation of your experiences and titles, these naturally get to be much longer than the resumes. Length should be of no concern when it comes to a CV. When it comes to style, well, resumes are more focused on following like a template, right? So they usually follow the functional resume template, the chronological resume template, or the skills resume template. For CVs, they're not really completely dependent on a specific style to make an impact. Sure, we have usual selections like education and experience, but it is still a lot more open in terms of where you can organize all of these experiences and all of this information. More than anything, just focus on the format because that is the one thing that needs to be consistent throughout the document. Next slide, please. So we're now going to take a bit of a more in-depth look into some of the parts of the CV. Starting off is probably one of the more crucial segments of your document, which is your name and your contact information. So your name needs to stand out, right? It has to be one of the first few things that you notice on your CV. Thus, you can usually just put it in bold, or you can even make it into, like a larger number, right? You can put it in larger print. This section should include your complete contact information, which includes your permanent address, and if applicable, your campus office address, your permanent office and phone numbers with the area code, and it should also include your email. Now, something I did kind of want to mention regarding the emails, usually it's okay to put your university email in this section, but it's always a good idea to just have like your own professional email as well, right? This professional email, you should try to avoid numbers as much as you can. Just try to make it as neutral as possible, right? So your name or things like that. In regards to your education section, you should list your degrees in reverse chronological order, which means that at the very top of the list, you need to add one of your most recent, right, degrees or certifications, right? It goes from the most recent to the oldest. You should include your GPA in this section. And if it's 3 points higher, right? If it's less than 3 points, then it would be best if you didn't write it on your CV. Make sure to keep things simple to follow, right? Make sure it's not too cluttered, this section. A way that you can, guarantee this to be a little bit more organized is if the information, you have it in like a list format so that it can just be easier to scan through. So what are some things that you can include for each entry? You can include the official name of the degree or certification, add the date that it was or will be completed, and any and all majors or minors that you obtained, right? It should be mentioned in this section. Next, we have experiences. So much like the entries for your education section, it's expected for your experiences to be in reverse chronological order as well. If you just kind of want to make this section look a little bit more organized, you could try using bullet points to make the list just a little bit easier to read. You can start each of them with a strong action word. That being said, make sure to avoid repetition and excessive details as much as you can. And how can you format these entries? You can list your title or the position that you were in. You can name the relevant organization. You can mention the dates that you were active in this position. And finally, you can give a descriptive summary of your responsibilities in this position. Next slide, please. So other sections that you may include in your CV are the skills sections, the honors and awards section, and the references. Now for the skills, consider including this section to highlight any special skill you may have, right? So do you have any knowledge of certain computer programs like SPSS statistics? Do you have any certifications that are particularly useful for your industry? Do you have skills that are particular for lab work, right? So all of these skills, they can be really good on this section. For the honors and awards section, you should only include it if you have several honors, right? So if you have one or two, that's perfect. That's excellent, right? But it may be a little bit excessive if you dedicate an entire section for these one or two honors. So it would be best to just simply include them in the education section instead. So some of the things you can add in this section are scholarships that you may have won, or any awards given for academic excellence, like being part of Matrícula de Honor, or being part of El Cuadro de Honor of your respective departments. Last but not least, the references. Unlike the resume, references are usually included directly inside the CV. 3 to 5 references is what is usually appropriate, and these should include, professional contacts and faculty members of maybe your respective universities. Please note, however, before including your references, please make sure to actually obtain permission from them, right? So what should each reference include? The person's name, obviously, the title, the organization that they're a part of, and the appropriate contact information that they are willing to disclose, such as the email, the phone numbers, etc. Next slide, please. So in here, we just kind of have a few examples of what a CV could look like. In the first picture, as you can see in the contact information, it's rather centralized. The name, as mentioned before, it's in bold. It's in a bigger, larger font. And right under it, then we have like the address. So we have the person that's from San Sebastian, there's the code, there's the phone number, and then there is an official looking email. This person used the UPR email, which is perfectly fine. Note how the education section is actually formatted, right? So they started off with the title of the organization's name, right? So University of Puerto Rico, they put that in bold, and then right under it, they mentioned the actual name of the degree. To the right, you have the expected graduation date, so on and so forth. And this kind of format, as you can see, it's consistent throughout the education section, right? So name of organization is in bold, it's the first thing they mentioned, and then on the bottom, you add more information. So again, it's very important, even though you can technically organize this in any way that you can, try to make it as consistent as possible, right? We can also see this type of consistency in the next picture, which is the teaching experience. So something that I wanted to add regarding the experience, this person thought that it was necessary to reserve a specific section for their teaching experience, and that's perfectly fine, right? Let's say that you have you like to teach, but you also have a few research experiences and you don't really want to lump them all together into just one big list. This is one way to organize that type of information, right? You can have a research experience section and you can have a teaching experience section. So kind of like in the previous photo, this person decided to put in bold their position, right? So they put their position first in bold, and then right under it, they added other information. So like the faculty, the university, what courses they taught, and then under that, they put it in a bullet point list, right? All of the responsibilities and the experience, like a more in-depth explanation of the experience itself. Next slide, please. So in here, like I mentioned before, you can just divide the experiences in either teaching experiences or research experience. If maybe your forte is in internships, right? You have a lot of internship experience and just a few experiences regarding something else, then you can also just highlight the fact that, okay, so these are my internship experiences and these are just additional ones, right? In here, the format is a little bit different. It's not the same as the one before. But in this example, the formatting is still consistent, right? So they added right before all of the entries, they added the title. So project title, the mentor, the task, right? It's consistent throughout the document. And at the bottom, we have a picture of just what could be some examples that you can just write in your own honors and awards section, right? So there's like a conference travel grant, there's a fellowship, things like that. Next slide, please. So the sections that have been mentioned so far don't have to be the only ones that you can include in a CV. So remember, your CV serves as a reflection of your experience. It's a reflection of you. So if you think it's relevant, consider including literally any of the following, right? So it's not just the education, it's not just the experiences, right? If let's say you have been a part of a few programs or workshops that you found to be incredibly relevant to you, right? And that you've learned invaluable skills in these, then you should definitely have, a section reserved for these experiences specifically. If you are a part of a few organizations and you feel that they have allowed you to grow as a professional and that you have also helped the organization itself grow as well, then add this in your CV. You can maybe be having like some active projects in the moment that you're not exactly sure where to put on a resume because they are currently happening, right? So you can just add this as its own section as well, right? So works in progress. Next slide, please. So that will be all the information that I have to share with you guys regarding the CV. Next, we have the personal statement information that will be given to you all by Nanban. Thank you.
Thank you, Daphne. Next slide. Okay, here we are. So personal statement. As I explained at the beginning of this lecture, this is perhaps the hardest part for us to prepare because it's not easy for us to actually talk about ourselves. If anyone has ever done an assignment on talking about you, your dreams, your goals, and all that, perhaps you have struggled a little bit as you try to put down all that information. So something to keep in mind is that the personal statement could be general or could be specific, and all of that depends on the agency or program. It depends on what they're looking for, and it depends on what kind of candidate they're looking for, which specific skills, which specific knowledge. So they'll probably be very specific in their guidelines as they post the call for positions, for applications. So probably you get a better idea of what they want, and you can tailor your personal statement according to those needs that the program or agency has. So always, always, always keep your audience in mind. Who is reading this document? Is it a committee? Is it just one person? Is it the CEO? Is it the department head? Is it the principal investigator? Who's reading the document? Usually the person who sends out the call, when they give the contact information where you should send the materials, and also the contact person could, they could have their department head, president of the committee, director of human resources. So whoever it is, keep in mind who your audience is going to be. Also, one thing to consider is to think about how your readers, what is it that they're looking for? So according to what they're looking for, they're going to be asking themselves some questions like, do we want this person in our program, university? Is this person a good candidate for the program, university? Is this individual aware of all the hard work that pursuing this program entails? Will this person finish the program, the degree? Because at times, our personal statement, we might slip up and put some information that is like too much information about ourselves. So you need to be really careful about if you're, you want to share with the committee or the person, you want to share your personal experiences that have strengthened your character, that have help you build your character. At times, if you put too much information, they might be like, oh, this person seems to be a little complicated. This person apparently, you know, has gone through a lot of stuff. That might help in some cases. Once again, depends on the reader, on the audience, but also it could like give the person like, this is an extraordinary person. We want this person in our team. So once again, my advice to you is to make sure that you speak to other people who have participated in these opportunities to get like a little background, you know, like what is it like to work or to participate in this kind of co-op or internship or working with this researcher. Okay, so next slide, please. So before getting started, one thing that you need to do, as I just mentioned, is to learn about the agency, the program, and the people who work there. You know, learn a little bit more about how they work, what's the tendency in their hiring practices, you know, what kind of people are working there. So websites are very informational, but at the same time, nothing beats speaking to somebody who has participated. However, this is a warning. Depending on the experiences that people have in different spaces, they might say that it's a terrible idea, that it's not good for you. So also take into consideration who this person that you're talking to is coming from. Try to figure out their intentions, because there are times when, you know, people tend to be, you know, they like to compete, or they don't want competition. They might feel that you're competition and they might try to discourage you, so you won't apply. In my particular case, my advice to you is to always go through the experience, because only when you have your own experience, you have your own opinion about people, about experiences, about programs. So what might be a horrible experience for somebody might be the best experience of your life for you, or vice versa. So point out what makes the agency program appealing to you. Why did this, you know, caught your attention? Why were you like, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to do this? So make sure that you think about that. Also, as I said before, find out about potential faculty members that you would like to collaborate with in the case of a graduate program or research opportunities. Look for the profiles in their websites and look out for publications on topics that are interesting or appealing to you. So that's the best way to get to know the people who work where you want to, apply to. So mention also if it implies a significant geographical area of cultural change for you. Nowadays, with our new reality due to COVID-19, there are many advantages in terms of having the benefit of participating in all these opportunities virtually, because pretty much every organization, agency, company has had to adapt to our new reality, with virtual work and virtual learning and virtual research. However, there are still, opportunities that require that you relocate and that you move to that place for a while. For example, the Córdoba Fernos internship in Washington, D.C., they work directly with people in Congress. So obviously you have to relocate and go over there for a semester to collaborate or participate with them. There are many people who go there for a semester and then they're asked to stay during the summer, and that applies to pretty much every internship. Some people start off doing internships and co-ops or working with a professor in some kind of project, and they end up after graduation working with them. So you know, applying to these kinds of opportunities open the door for you. And as I said at the beginning, the more tools you have in your toolbox, the better equipped you'll be to build a magnificent future for yourself. So also emphasize what is so positive about this change. If you need to relocate or go to the other side of the world, well, try to reflect a little bit on how will you grow as a professional and as a person with this opportunity. Next slide, please. So keep in mind that you should present your personal statement in a vivid, innovative, and appealing way so you can stand out from the rest of the applicants, because usually these opportunities are very competitive and pretty much everyone wants to apply from all over. And imagine all of these applicants are putting themselves out there just to show why they're the best candidate. Well, you should do the same, okay? So try to include some aspect of yourself that will make you unforgettable to your readers, you know, so they remember your name when they're discussing and making decisions about the applicants. Also, if you feel that your life lacks impacting elements, find a creative way to present your life then and make it sound interesting. This requires a little extra effort. However, it is possible to do. Okay. Next slide, please. Well, the structure of a personal statement. Well, a personal statement is written in essay form. Okay. If allowed by the call for applications, you may use bullets, and there will be times that perhaps you feel that if you have a lot of experiences or skills that can help you, you know, build your CV and make it stronger, well, don't fear using bullets. In the middle part of your statement, you should be about the program that you're applying for and emphasize on why you're interested in the program, and also the skills and abilities that make you the best candidate to fill that position in the program. Next slide, please. So the opening paragraph, just like any essay, usually is the most important part of the statement, because this is what is going to capture your reader's attention. If you remember your time taking your first basic writing course, you should remember that we talked about the hook, you know, having some kind of sentence or anecdote or quote, something that is going to catch your readers' attention and keep them interested, make them feel that they want to read the entire statement. So it also establishes the main points to be elaborated on the personal statement. So if you say in your first paragraph that you're going to talk about this, this, and this, well, throughout your statement, you need to exactly do that, you know. You need to do what you said you were going to do. So you introduce yourself, your interests, and why you're interested in the area or the program. Next slide, please. So the body of the statement, just like the body of an essay, needs to be specific about interest. Can you hear me? Excuse me? Okay, so where was I? So be specific about interests, experiences, and background knowledge in the area of studies, courses, seminars, conferences, research, books that you've read, etc. Okay, so point out why you're the ideal candidate for the position and try to be as specific as possible. Use words and adjectives that make you look enthusiastic and interesting. Use specialized vocabulary when necessary, so they will know that you're knowledgeable about the things that you say you're skilled in. So try to make a list of phrases that can make an impression. This is a tip. You know, this career is important, challenging, because you know, this field study impacts our everyday life, and you know how it is a contribution to humanity or to Puerto Rico or the United States, you know. So try to be inspirational, you know, for people so they feel inspired. There are times when people hesitate a little bit on expressing who they are because they're afraid that they're not going to be accepted. Well, you know, in my life, I have learned that the more honest that you are with who you are and show yourself in your interviews and in the way that you write, the more appealing is for people. Not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to agree with you. However, if you show that you're a person who likes to work hard, who is committed to the kind of work that you want to do, that you get along with others, that you're a person that can be reasonable, you know, that really helps you and it opens doors for you. Next slide, please. Well, in the closing statement, it's very important that you know, make your reader remember who you are. Just like you did at the beginning of the statement, you should remind them of who you are and why you're the person for this. So it should be a part where you once again reinforce that idea that you are committed, that you want to become part of the program. And you could also throw in there a few long-term goals, you know, and that really keeps the reader thinking about how this position might help you. It might be a stepping stone for you, but at the same time, how it's going to help the company, agency, or organization. You know, usually leaders can identify potential leaders. So when you look at people and you work with them and you speak to them, you say, there's a lot of potential here. So I'm going to explore this potential with this person. I'm going to help this person grow. At times we see ourselves reflected in you. We see your energy, we see your commitment, we see your passion, and we're like, oh my God, this person reminds me so much of myself. And look where I am right now. So I'm going to help this this applicant to become the best person they can be, the best version of themselves. Next slide, please. So please avoid writing about high school achievement and experiences because at this point, you're a seasoned college student and you should explore every possibility that you have in your academic life to grow as a professional and get those tools in the toolbox. So make sure that you share information that is recent and that shows your commitment to your field of study. Also, avoid writing about controversial topics such as religion and politics. That usually leads to trouble. So try to avoid that. Also, try to avoid sounding arrogant. You know, there are times when you are talking about yourself, and that's a good thing that you're confident and you're showing all this. But if it sounds like you're bragging too much, the reader might think, this person sounds like an arrogant, you know, candidate. So I don't want that. I need somebody who's authentic, who's honest, who's humble for this position. For example, if you're going to work in a nonprofit organization, or you're going to go to different places in the world and you need to be diplomatic and kind of learn how to listen to people. It's not all about you. You need to be a good listener too. And that's something that I really point out in interviews. Listen well before you speak. Listen to the people who are talking to you and figure out what is it that they're really asking, and then you deliver. Okay? So avoid sounding arrogant, funny, too funny. Throwing a joke here and there is fine in an interview, pero being like too funny, can you take everything as a joke, or you're being sarcastic or disrespectful, that doesn't help at all. So obviously avoid lying in your application materials or in your personal statement. Be as honest as you can. Using cliche phrases, sometimes we do a Google search and we look samples and we kind of try to repeat. Try to be yourself and try to be an original and creative in your documents. Also, including a list of extracurricular activities and not explaining their importance to you, just throwing them out there just because. No. You need to show this person or this committee why you engage in this particular activities. Why are they meaningful to you? How these contribute to building your character and expanding your skills and making you the best fit for the program. Also, saying that you have other plans prior to entering the program, like, oh, I'm thinking about applying to grad school in Ohio State, for example, and you're applying to Penn State. I mentioned Penn State because that's the school I went to. So you don't say those things, or, oh, I'm going to start my business, and I want to be here to learn how to run my business. So why would they hire you? Why would they give you an opportunity if you're saying that, you're going to be here and like steal what they have to teach you to create your own competing business? You know what I mean? So just try to avoid that. Next slide, please. Also proofread. Watch your grammar. Be cautious on how you express yourself. The piece should be error-free, so always try having somebody else read it, another pair of eyes. And if you have like a couple of people who are really good at editing, it would be nice to have them look at your materials. So show off your written communication skills, don't be afraid. You can always proofread and edit or have somebody else help you with that. Be clear, be specific, be concise. Don't go around what you want to say, because I know that at times people think in Spanish and they write these statements thinking in Spanish and they translate. Oh, that's dangerous, because remember that Spanish is a language so colorful. It has so many, an enriched vocabulary. So we tend to embellish everything and put it in a poetic form. But in English, you need to be, straight to the point. Just do it. Just say it. Okay. So do not go over the number of words requested. If they require you to write a 500-word personal statement, stick to the 500-word count. Okay, if it's 1,000, 1,000 then, but make sure that you stick to the to their guidelines. Next slide, please. Revise and edit. Once again, have another person read the statement, use the required format. And for that, we have the English Writing Center right on campus. And we have our excellent tutors, just like Daphne, helping you polish your documents. So my invitation to you is to visit us. My PowerPoint had the actual hours and time. So what I'm gonna do is to the organizers, I'm gonna send the updated version of this presentation, which includes the slide with the information from the English Writing Center for you to share with the group here. Okay, next slide, please. So when you're done, just submit and good luck. Okay, next slide. Questions. I saw throughout my presentation that there were a few people asking questions throughout the presentation. Let's see, vamos para allá arriba. Mira esta Recel tratando de coger puntos de bono en mi clase por estar aquí.
¿Cómo fue que no te escuché bien?
Que estás pidiendo puntos de bono por estar aquí.
Pues claro, digo presente.
That makes you enthusiastic. Thank you.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun listening to the presentation. It gave me some awesome pointers.
Okay, we're gonna do this in class, in our class, so
super cool.
don't worry. Chévere. Okay, so para los estudiantes que pertenecen a la banda o algún equipo que represente la universidad, voleibol, atletismo, ¿en qué parte del CV debe colocar esa experiencia? ¿Cuán importante? Bueno, yo creo que es extremadamente importante que tengas una sección sobre eso. ¿Por qué? Porque eso representa que tú has pertenecido a un equipo de trabajo, que tú has asistido a todas las prácticas, las reuniones y, por supuesto, si tú incluyes en tu CV a estas personas, ¿verdad? A esta organización, pues el a potential reference could be your coordinator, la persona in charge de la banda, la persona in charge of el coach, So estos son potential people to write you the reference or the reference letters, recommendation letters. Recuerda que si tú incluyes algo en el CV, debes tener el backup, o sea, la evidencia to sustain that. ¿Ok? Tengo un poco de interferencia.
O sea, mi piel es tan sensible que yo me pongo, si tengo.
Okay.
Nathan, may I add something to?
Sure, go ahead.
So I don't have much experience regarding the section of the university, but regarding banda y orquesta, if you feel like you had certain special positions adentro de banda y orquesta, like let's say that you were a soloist adentro del coro, then I think that could be something that you could point out in this section as well. Maybe point out some of the more particular extravagant activities that you were, right? So maybe some of those Christmas recitals get a little, every Christmas, they always expect a wonderful presentation. So those could be some wonderful additions to that section as well.
I completely agree with Daphne. For example, Daphne is one of our tutors. Eventually, I hope she becomes one of our lead tutors. So that's something that she could include in her CV as well. Okay, she was a tutor in the Writing Center, in the English Writing Center on campus, which serviced the entire academic community, and that she was a lead tutor. That would be very helpful to her application anywhere. Elia asked about a format, pues usually doc puede ser alterado. I prefer PDF. Usually if you have to upload documents online, they usually request that they're PDF. Natasha says, bueno, depends on the people. Ella pregunta the difference between personal statement and statement of purpose. Statement of purpose es más, ¿por qué estoy aquí? Why am I here? Why am I applying to this position? How can I serve your company or your agency with my skills and my knowledge? And personal statement, pues we call it more personal. O sea, it depends on the point of view. Remember that there are companies that are very formal and there are companies that are very informal or more relaxed in their guidelines. So el personal statement pues dice pues es personal, es tuyo. So tú puedes hablar en first person point of view. I did this, I studied, I traveled here, I'm prepared, I'm certified. Y el statement of purpose es más como que es lo mismo. O sea, puedes hacer lo mismo, pero suena un poquito más formal. That's the way I see it. Belmalis, me trasladé al departamento. Bueno, tú puedes poner some coursework y el área. Courses in or a number of credits that you took in this particular department, que no era tu departamento, pero siempre comienza con el major en el que tú estás. O sea, de dónde tú te vas a graduar. Y luego, más abajito, tú pones tantos créditos en inglés, tantos créditos en enfermería, tantos créditos en biología o microbiología, ¿ok? Cosas o experiencias de un resumen. Bueno, si usted ha hecho community service, si usted está certificado en ciertas cosas, ¿verdad? O plataformas. A veces uno toma certificados aquí mismo en el campus, en CREAD, o si tomas en otras universidades. Muchas personas durante la pandemia tomaron masterclasses que estaban being offered for free en diferentes instituciones de prestigio como Harvard, como Princeton. Hubo muchas personas que tomaron cursos cortos. Si usted toma un curso corto, si usted está certificado en primeros auxilios, o sea, todo lo que usted pueda poner ahí, ¿verdad? Que sea de uso para la institución. Por ejemplo, usted va a ir a trabajar a un sitio que va a trabajar con youth, ¿verdad? Con jóvenes. Y entails como que physical activity, un curso de primeros auxilios o ¿verdad? Algo relacionado, is really going to help you, porque si hay una emergencia, usted va a saber cómo manejarse y cómo manejar la emergencia. ¿Me sigue? Si usted ha sido voluntario o voluntaria en, por ejemplo, si usted va a trabajar en un non-profit organization que trata con rescate de animales, y usted ha trabajado de voluntario en un veterinario, pues definitivamente que esa experiencia le va a apoyar. ¿Okay? O si usted va a entrar a una escuela de veterinaria, o si usted va a hacer un internship, ¿verdad? Con un veterinario, una oportunidad de trabajo, pues obvio, si usted ha trabajado, ¿verdad? Rescatando animales y apoyando a alguna organización con estas, ¿verdad? Estos asuntos, pues obviously it's going to help. El personal statement por lo general tiene unos guidelines y por lo general les dicen, ¿verdad? Yo en lo personal, por ejemplo, en el departamento de inglés, en el programa de maestría, le pedimos 2 páginas a los estudiantes que solicitan al programa, porque recuerden, entran muchas solicitudes y necesitamos tiempo para poder evaluarlas todas de la misma manera. Se me fue la... Ok, mi año de prepa, trabajo voluntario. Ah, sí, pues claro que sí, que lo puedes incluir. Tu año de, o sea, tú eras de los míos de
María.
De María, que hicimos community work. Sí.
Sí.
Oh, wow, ese curso fue tan espectacular, a pesar de lo que pasó. No terminamos haciendo lo académico como se esperaba al principio, nos rediseñamos después de María y terminamos haciendo unos eventos tan espectaculares. ¿Qué community service te tocó a ti?
Yo fui a la comunidad de Aguadilla.
Oh my God, that was so amazing. Y that's the only one I couldn't go, porque tenía 4 ese día, ¿te acuerdas?
Sí.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Of course, included. Claro que sí. So, any other questions? En inglés, español, Spanglish. Discúlpenme el going back and forth, pero that's the way I am. ¿Alguna pregunta en español sin miedo?
Chicos, aprovechen. Si tienen alguna otra duda, la pueden tirar por el chat, la pueden decir, pueden abrir su micrófono y decirla.
Exacto. Vamos a ver. Bueno, si les interesa, ¿verdad? Hacer un hands-on, si me pueden poner el handout, que es PDF también. Si les interesa trabajar más a fondo su personal statement, preparamos un handout con unas preguntitas que pueden ser como writing prompts para ustedes, para que esas ideas empiecen a correr. Para esos de ustedes que todavía pues no han hecho uno o que van a hacer, ¿verdad? Algunos, recuerden que el personal statement usted lo tiene que adaptar dependiendo de la agencia a la que usted vaya a solicitar. So aquí tienen, ¿verdad? Algunas preguntitas que le pueden ayudar. Before getting started, you should ask yourself the following questions. Si es que está solicitando un programa graduado, ¿verdad? O un curso corto, what do you want to study? Where? Why? O sea, usted hace una pequeña búsqueda de sitios donde usted quiera ir. ¿Qué cursos le interesan? ¿Por qué? Piensen también en el coursework, workshops, conferences que you have taken or attended or presented in your area of interest. Also, what experiences, working or research have you done in your area of interest? when did you first got interested in your area of study? A veces es bueno ir a la niñez y ver cuál fue el aha moment cuando usted realized que usted wanted to be this, you wanted to study veterinaria. Pues cuál fue el aha moment que le hizo a usted, lo llevó a esa decisión y usted no se ha salido de eso. ¿Ok? O puede también decir que usted estaba estudiando tal cosa, pero pasó este evento y le hizo cambiar completamente su outlook y su vida y decidió que lo que quería estudiar era esto instead. Also, what has led you to believe that you're capable of pursuing this degree or this opportunity? What are your professional goals? What makes you stand out from the rest of the applicants? What experiences have shaped and impacted your academic goals? Which experiences would demonstrate that you are not afraid of commitment? Have you overcome big obstacles in your life? Which ones? How did you do it? Esta es la parte que yo le digo que hay que ser cuidadoso. Por ejemplo, todos podemos aquí en Puerto Rico hablar de lo que pasamos con el huracán María, lo que pasamos con los terremotos, ¿verdad? Y eso muestra resiliencia, o sea, como que es una persona, I don't give up. I had this illness, I battle a chronic illness. Yo no sé si lo quieren incluir porque a veces eso puede backfire. Sin embargo, dependiendo la audiencia, once again, es como usted puede, porque si usted sabe que usted va a entrar a un sitio en el que las personas son bastante empáticas, que trabajan con personas dándole counseling a pacientes de cáncer, vamos a decir así, o usted va a trabajar de voluntario en un sitio donde dan quimioterapia, pues obvio necesita ser empático. Entonces, si usted dice, yo tuve una experiencia con el cáncer y whatever, y ya estoy curado, y para mí eso fue una experiencia que me enseñó y me hizo estar aware of the struggles of people who battle chronic illness, cositas así que le apoyan a usted, ¿verdad? Pero tampoco es que escriba la historia de su vida con todas las cosas malas que le han pasado y como que sin explicar cómo usted overcome that experience, ¿ok? Veo una pregunta, que si el Writing Center, bueno, por ahora somos virtuales, entiendo yo que desde la próxima semana empezaremos a operaciones en face to face. Nos hemos movido, ya no vamos a estar en la biblioteca, vamos a estar en el edificio Celis, en el salón 208. Todavía, Daphne, can you, if you spoke to, I think that they're still working on the space, si no me equivoco, todavía están acomodando, haciendo la mudanza de la biblioteca hacia Celis.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, for the moment, even though we're going to be, presencialmente en este sitio, we're still going to be operating via online. Right
Okay.
now, until the space can actually be, refurbished and a lot more people can actually get into the space and following the correct social distancing guidelines.
Yes, yes. Pues por ahora we'll remain online, even though tutors will be on campus operating from our mothership there in Celis 208. Pues as you can see, these are the questions que I think que if you guys want to pursue the hands-on CV or personal statement workshop, you can get started with these questions, and or you can just generate your draft and ask our tutors in the Writing Center to support you. I'm also sharing this with the tutors in the English Writing Center, so they'll be ready for you when you come in.
Just in case anyone is interested in filling out a form, right now or relatively soon, I'm going to be pasting it into the chat just so that you can have it available at the hora.
Thank you, Daphne.
Bueno, chicos, ahí mandaron ese form por el chat. Si no hay más dudas, pues muchas gracias a ambas, a la profesora y a Daphne por la conferencia. Realmente, especialmente para mí, esto ayudó mucho. Espero que a todos les haya podido ayudar. cualquier duda que tengan, ya saben, pueden ir al English Writing Center. Van a estar en Celis 208. Va a ser online. También pueden escribirle un email. Voy a estar pasando la asistencia ahora rapidito.
Algo que quería añadir era que les voy a enviar la updated version para que la compartan de la presentación, que tiene la información del Writing Center con el link, y también les voy a enviar un